gasoline, deli meat, hydrogen peroxide. How are they all connected? The price of all these things are going up. And what does that mean for our businesses? We're going to dive into all of that with our whole gang. Gloria might not be here the whole time, but she does crash in on the end and explain why she's been missing for a few episodes here. It's really great to hear from her. We're going to dive into all that. First, I want to give a big shout out to Helmbot. Helmbot is the software that we absolutely believe in at the Float Shop. Drew uses it. All of Gloria's businesses use Helmbot. It's the software that's built from the ground up, specifically for float centers, so you can take care of everything, including something other software isn't going to do for you, which is the metrics for your float tanks. We can go back for years and see all of the changes that we've made within our float tanks, all the measurements, whether it's water depth, buoyancy, peroxide levels, we can see all of that. So very helpful for us. Beyond that, there's task managers, there's a logbook so you can have an ongoing conversation. And of course, there's client scheduling as well, gift cards, all of that. You can create private links that you can send to somebody else that when they click on that link, it's the only thing that they'll see on that gift card and it won't show up on your menu. You can do all these kind of customizations with Helmbot. There's so much that it can do that I certainly can't tell you all in one ad. So just go to helmbot.com, schedule a tour. This is where you can ask all the questions. Make sure that it's a perfect fit for your business. They are super helpful and know everything about Helmbot, so they can answer all your questions, which, by the way, if you're already a Helmbot user, you can always ask a question. They'll get back to you right away. They're incredible with their customer service. It's probably one of the things people talk about the most once you're actually on it and you're used to it is as soon as you have a question or if you want them to add something, they'll get right back to you. And that's all built within Helmbot. There's a little button, little drop-down menu and button you can access there. You'll see a notification pop up when they get right back to you. Also, Isopod. Isopod are the float tanks that we use at the Float Shop. Beautiful, large float tanks. So the ones that I do photography in as well, just because they're so spacious. I can get so many different angles within it. It's so wonderful. Clean looking float tanks. Actually clean float tanks because of the systems that they have for their filtration system. They have a nice balance between technologically advanced and simple to use, which is really nice. Float tanks can be, what would you call it, over-engineered. Lots of things can go wrong. It can be hard to discover what the problem is. Something that I love about the isopods is that they do have advanced features within the remote. There's all sorts of things you can do about adjusting temperature, audio, all that. But at the same time, they try to keep it simple so that little can go wrong. When something does go wrong, it can be identified and replaced or fixed. So Isopod is the float tank that we love. i-sopod.com is where you want to go to check them out. Again, we're big fans. I think we should start the show now. Let's go. Welcome back to another episode of Art of the Float, where float centers thrive. My name is Dylan, and I own the Float Shop in Portland, Oregon. Gas right by my house, can you triangulate where I live by gas price, is $5.60 a gallon at the moment. Yeah, I almost thought I should go last because I bet I'm going to top you guys out. So gas is expensive where I'm at.
And I'm Kim Hannon. I co-own Zucchino Float Center in Salt Cave in Southern Indiana with my husband. And our gas prices just went down quite a bit, actually, to $5.17 a gallon.
Oof. This is Drew from New Hampshire Float in New Hampshire. And even though I did just pay $4.89 a gallon, the average in New Hampshire did, I believe, yesterday reach over $5. But I can still find those little hidden pockets of under $5. But it's getting difficult. Yeah, it's becoming more and more difficult.
Get the app Gas Buddy, seriously.
Thank you. I was actually going to say, can you shout that out? Yeah.
Yes, there's a mobile app called Gas Buddy. There are a couple of others that are out there too, but you can report gas prices, but you can also see what other people have reported, and sometimes station owners will report it too. And you can check if you're driving somewhere, where the cheapest gas station would be along your route. You can find out, based on your location, you can save your favorites, all of that kind of stuff. So it's pretty cool, and then you can use that to get gas discounts and things. So kind of a nifty little program.
Yeah, welcome back to Art of the Petrol. This is where we talk about all things petrol, both pricing for your vehicles, whether land, sea, air, whatever it is. We're going to break it down. We're going to talk lubrication as well, air pressure, all that stuff. And we're going to make sure that you are able to get your rig off the ground, off the dock, or across that freeway. So welcome back. And Drew,
yeah, I might as well add this to the mix since we're talking all things petrol. I have to lock in my propane now for the next year. And last year I was at, I think right at $1.48, $2.38 a gallon now. So I'm almost up $1, and I had to lock in for 800 gallons. So it's literally going up $800 for my propane next year, which I was so excited about. Yeah, everything's just going up and up and up, right?
Yeah, and I guess that kind of segues to the grander theme of the show. Is it's not just gas, although, I mean, gas is kind of the fundamental thing that it affects the prices of everything, especially, I mean, any physical good. People have to deliver food, all that stuff. Food prices are up. Some things are crazy expensive. Yeah. Shopping is really different right now. Deli meat is all of a sudden like, oh, I shouldn't. I should not only eat that for health reasons and for the sodium intake, but also because that's no longer affordable. That's just like that's throwing away my money.
Mm-hmm. It's pretty wild. And, you know, looking at the float center, as inflation continued this year, we really weren't seeing much of it. There was a small little drop off of some new folks, but honestly, we weren't feeling it until we started to notice a little in like mid-April, and then May hit, and then here we are in June. And I think as the gas prices have continued to rise, that's the piece that really everybody feels. You can't ignore it. You see it on these giant signs just driving through town. And I feel like that has really had kind of the biggest impact. And I've heard more people talking about how far they are from the center to come see us than I've ever heard before. They're not necessarily saying, you know, I'm X miles and gas costs this much, but they're saying, you know, this it takes me 30 minutes to get there. And like they're starting to really kind of compute it, even if not consciously.
Yeah. Yeah. And it all factors into if everything's more expensive. It seems like there are two factors. One is people are going to be less likely to go to your business because they don't have the money to spend, right? Like people aren't, as they seem to point out every day in the news, excuse me, pay is not in line with inflation at all, like nowhere near that. So the counterpart, which is, I'm going to go ahead and say bad, it is not good for business, is we also pay more. So we are in a really tough bind of needing to raise prices to make the same amount of money that we're making previously. I mean, of course, there are other things, and we can talk about it, like getting more people in your doors, that kind of thing, and just simply increasing sales numbers. But that's always the goal, right? But the bottom line is it costs more to get salt delivered to you. It costs more to get all the things that we use at our business. I mean, even our water is going up. So how are we handling that beautiful X that is Xing on our businesses here?
Drinking lots of alcohol? No, just
yeah. And that's what we promote.
That's it. You know, petrol and alcohol. That's what we do here.
Yeah. Well, yeah. There's some crossover. Yeah.
Yeah. Right. It's really interesting because, like, Graham and I are having a lot more conversations, even just about which vehicle to take when we're driving. Who's going the furthest, because one car gets much better gas mileage than the other. And so given the choice, we're trying to drive the car that gets better gas mileage. And if we're both going somewhere, we're, you know, whoever goes the furthest gets that one. And we're looking at all of those sorts of things. And we're also starting to look at it for the float center too, of, you know, does it make sense? And especially because we just expanded, we just hired 3 new team members. We're getting ready to hire a 4th. We just blasted open our schedule to 7 days a week, you know, all of this sort of stuff. And now we're looking at it going like, whoa, okay, this is hitting pretty fast. And trying to make some decisions about, does it make sense to close off a couple shifts again to reduce labor costs, you know, and hopefully concentrate some of the folks coming back in again, because right now they're sort of sprinkled out. we're actually increasing and actually going to spend money on paid ads, which is something that we historically haven't done. We've done just focusing on organic social and, some of our own internal marketing things, but we're actually going to be starting to do some paid ads. And, increasing a little bit of the ad spend, doing a little bit more hitting the sidewalks and actually walking into local businesses and trying to do some local promotions for people who are in the vicinity of our center already. So,
yeah, cool. Yeah. I'd love to hear more about the local, because that's what's been bubbling up in my mind as well, is more awareness at local businesses, that synergizing that I feel like I've been kind of away from as I've been physically away from the building more, that interconnectedness with the other businesses around you. Do you have somebody on shift doing that? Is it, are you going in there while Graham is working? What's the plan for that?
So given where we've shifted our business, I am now only there scheduled 1 or 2 shifts a week. Or 1 or 2 shifts a month.
Cool.
1 or 2 shifts a month. I was working once a week, and then I'd fill in shifts as needed, but 1 or 2 shifts a month. And then Graham at the time was still there 5 days a week. We reduced that to 4. Now he's at 3. Our plan for next month was that he was going to be there 2. And then if we hire another employee, he's only going to be there kind of as needed, filling in. And the plan is really that, I kind of put together the campaigns, put together the concepts for things, and then he goes out to execute it in the community. And, reaching out to local businesses, talking to folks. I handle pretty much everything with our online presence. I'm an introvert. He's an extrovert. So I like it behind the screen, and he likes in front of people's faces. So it's a really good mix for us. But we haven't gotten too far into it yet. We're just now starting to really kind of strategize a lot of those things and figure out who do we want to talk to, what makes sense, what kinds of events can we have for the community that's going to bring people together and create awareness for us, but also do good for the community as well. And we're doing, we're ramping up customer service as far as if we have a slow schedule and somebody comes in to float, if the salt cave is empty after their float, let them go sit in the cave for free. Let them do a halotherapy session for free. Right. Totally. We're extending floats. Cool. If somebody's scheduled for the salt cave, we're giving them upgrades to use our infrared therapy mat in there for free, and just really trying to take care of the people who are coming in, and really just stepping up what we can and trying to nurture those relationships. So,
wow, great,
Kim. I think that's a great point. Is and really, as things become options for people where they have to make choices, the relationships you have with your customers and the importance they place on floating will end up dictating whether or not they see that as a priority and what they want to spend their money on, right? And that is definitely something that and with my staff, I really encourage them to talk to people, ask them questions, ask them how their float was, and get to know them. Because when the pandemic happened, I saw that people made choices where they were spending their money. And I had a lot of people say, Drew, I love what you're providing. I think it's important. I want to continue to support you with my membership. So please, no matter how long you're shut down, keep charging me, and I'll float and I'll use them when everything gets back. So, if you're already, unfortunately, I think if you're already struggling as times get tough, it's going to be difficult to get better, right? So hopefully people have been putting importance on that customer service part of it. It'll be easy to kind of scratch that off the list if they don't really have a connection to the center, right?
And that's something that we talk about quite a bit, right? Is as the owner, you're the beacon. And I think, I know Graham historically has been the beacon. And Drew, I know you are 100%. People are showing up there. They're chatting with you for an hour. Yeah. And how do you maintain that as you lose the grip, the death grip, the vice grip that we have on our float centers? But yeah, as Kim's talking about, still encouraging your employees to say, if the tank is open afterwards, open it up for them, extend the float, add the amenities. Saunas, I think, are one of the easiest ones that you can have as an add-on for free. But Salt Cave would have to match that ease as well, I would assume.
And we're even looking at things like, if somebody is sitting down having a cup of tea and, we know that they enjoyed that cup of tea, we're grabbing a couple of packets that they can take with them, and just any like little bitty thing you can do to kind of create that connection with somebody, to go above and beyond what you normally do. But it's also just a physical little reminder that they can take home and remember us and say, you know what, I felt so great the last time I was there. I want to go do that again. And so it's just this multi-layer approach of nurturing the people that we do have, actually stepping up the spending to try to get some more people to come in the door, and then making sure that we're also looking at some other options and creating some relationships in the community and some other programs. We just did another Pay What You Can Day. It's been a little while since we've done one of those, and we had one last month, and it went really well. Our employees enjoyed doing that, and we had so many people in the community who were, grateful for that chance. And, that's something that we might continue to do a little bit more while we're in these slower moments. And it might not be so much a big Pay What You Can day. We're looking at some options to kind of do individual service of that nature, rather than just promoting it to everybody. We've started a Pay It Forward account, and I feel like right now we're getting into the point where it really feels like we need to launch that, but I'm having trouble figuring out what that's going to look like. So
sure, yeah.
Whew. So much happening.
Right. If I can pull the scope back a little bit, we would need a lot of people in here. When we were first talking about the topic for tonight, I used the word state of the industry, which I don't think we can talk about the state of the industry without a lot of people here, and ideally, numbers as well. But do you get a feeling from whether it's the Float Collective or just from friends within the industry that there is a struggle going on right now? I mean, we just got through COVID, and that sorry, I keep saying through.
I know.
It's like we are in it, but the closures and for the most part, masks are optional these days at most places. Our staff are still required to wear masks. Clients are no longer required to wear masks. Sorry, I don't mean to go into those details as much, but I just feel like we're just getting just gut punch, straight to the chin, uppercut. Like, it is tough. So people have weathered through that. They kept their doors open, and now the inflation thing is hitting us. Yeah. Is it just in our minds that things are really difficult right now, or are you getting the feeling from others that this is a tough time?
Yeah, I have. I don't know, Drew, what you're seeing, but I've definitely noticed it, even in my clients with Mindful Solutions. I've had a lot more conversations with people about what they can do to, reach new people, what they can do to keep people coming in the doors. I have had some folks who've needed to scale back on their packages or, whether it's cutting expenses. But I'm also seeing a little bit of the opposite. Like I said earlier, like we're stepping up and spending some money on paid ads that we haven't done before. And there are, I do have new clients who are coming in because they're recognizing the need to create awareness and continue that promotion aspect, just trying to continue to reach people. So there's a little bit of both. And I think if you're not spending money right now to get people in the door and you can afford to do so, if you're starting to see your numbers dripping just a little bit, that's a good indicator that you probably need to go ahead and spend some dollars somewhere and try now before it gets too bad. Because once you've gotten into that hole and your finances are starting to, really decrease, it might be a little too late in the game. Yeah. Drew, are you seeing any change like with your members or anything?
Not as far as the numbers go. But again, I'm open less than what I'd like to be. So what I'm open is booking. And, I think I average probably 14 floats a day, I'd say is my average. And I open 15 to 18, depending on my staffing that day. So, I'd rather open 30 floats and book 20 of them, right. But I definitely hear a lot of concern. I don't know if you guys remember in the Flow Collective before the pandemic hit, there was a whole, there was a little survey and a poll, about the recession, and a whole bunch of people were like not concerned about any recession and not concerned about this. Right? And I don't know if you remember that. And it was like, something's got to give, and it turned out to be COVID, right? Which no one could have predicted, but still it led to an economical impact. So I think people are more aware that anything could happen. And as we are still trying to recover from that, right? We're not that far off from that. And now inflation / we're calling it inflation. I think there's a lot of price gouging going on and unnecessary increases, and it's just greed. And you know,
and that's more in my opinion, that's the big guys, Starbucks, the big companies that are just gonna say it's because of inflation and then make record profits.
We actually just had a local gas station who got nailed for price gouging, and
really?
So it's definitely happening.
Interesting.
And
and so then
like when people are mean.
Well, and like by the time things trickle down to us, we're the ones who aren't raising prices every single time.
Exactly. Yep.
Right?
Yeah.
Because we're the front lines. It's the people on the back end, the distributors, the people that we have to order things from. You know, they don't care. Like, you deal with the customers. You're my customer. You can't operate without my stuff. Yeah. You deal with the people on the other end and their anger. I don't have, it is what it is. Shipping cost. A distributor can claim whatever, and these days, shipping, staff, all of that. Yeah, I understand. Okay. Well, then for us to turn around and the hundreds of customers we deal with have to keep explaining, I just raised my prices. I have been thinking, should I raise them another $3? Just quietly do it and not say anything. Because I bought, what did I buy today? Or yesterday, hydrogen peroxide. Before COVID hit, I was paying $28 for a gallon. I'm paying $51 for a gallon now. I'm like, like, that's crazy. And I go through a gallon a week, so now when I started doing that math, now it's been like 2 years that I've been doing that. So now, what, $12, $13 times 100 and something weeks, that's over $1,000 now, right? Yep. So now if you kind of add up all the little things over the last couple of years as they've increased, like my prices haven't increased with that type of increase, right? Yeah. So
no.
I don't know what to do. I try not to pay attention to it. It's I had a conversation with the float center owner recently that I was really surprised by, about how concerned he was about the world in general. And I don't think the world's all so doom and gloom, even if there's this crazy little group controlling everything. Like, they still need us to be pawns in their scheme. So they kind of can't let the world just fall to shit and turn into anarchy. They still need some type of control over it, and they kind of need us to do well for them to do well. So I don't know what the answers are, and I think that they'll figure it out. And throughout the last, X amount of hundreds of years, there have been issues that have gone on. And I just like to think that we've learned from things like the Great Depression, and that we won't allow things to get that bad. But who knows? I don't know. I don't trust the government. I don't know.
I would sleep like a baby. Can you whisper that into my ear as I go to sleep at night? That sounds so nice. I love your half full attitude. I honestly wish I had more of a positive attitude about the world.
It ebbs and flows. 2008 was horrible. I remember having a negative account because George Bush, I owed taxes that I was on a payment plan for, and he was like, F you, and just took all the money that I owed, and I had no money. I just got paid. He took it all, and it was like everything was going to shit, and he's taking the little guy's money. And I was like, what are you talking about? I make 20, I think back, 2008, I think I was doing something that was making 40 grand a year. And I was like, what do you, I'm on a payment plan. I'm doing what I'm supposed to do. And you're just like, I'm taking it because the government needed the money. And we survived. It stuck. Sure. I still remember the feeling in the moment of trying to get money to go. I think I was trying to go out to have some beers and being like, oh my God, I have no money. What? How did this happen? I still remember the sick feeling I had. And looking back now, survived, figured it out. So personally, I try not to get too into that stuff, you know? Go ahead, Dylan.
Yeah, I know. Sorry. I don't want to get too macro here on this, but we're two white guys. I mean, that can be factored in for like the difficulty in our world. We're born into a particular amount of means, all of that, or things come to us with a certain amount of ease. And so I can't remember how old America was when it was at the time, but the wealth disparity was, I think we might have actually just recently tipped past it, but it was the whole 1% thing. And it's not even the 1%. It's like this fraction of the 1% holds this amount of wealth. It was way massive. And I think we're about that point now. And the people at the bottom weren't okay anymore, and it trickled up the wealth disparity of the people like that middle class, like that wealth divide that sometimes you hear about, was so great that like where you are able to recover, greed doesn't say, oh, I want to maintain this for 10 years. They are usually thinking by quarter for their stock, and so they are simply going to take as much as they can every single time so that their shareholders are fed, or paid, are happy, and then will get it going again next quarter. And I think there's a little bit of foresight beyond that, but it is how can we take every single penny possible, because that is the job of the capitalism in general. I mean, that's kind of the job if you take morality out of it. And the government's kind of job is to put checks and balances on that. But if they're not doing that, or if they're perhaps bought out by lobbyists, then or other means as well. But then those checks and balances don't exist anymore. And then the people who are okay while other people aren't, and it's like, hey, I got by. It keeps going up and up and up. And honestly, I'm going to be fine. My business might not be. I personally am going to be okay. But there are other people who already aren't. I mean, Portland right now is really in a rough state already. Just speaking about like the homeless crisis that we have. Sorry, I don't mean to like go on a complete tangent here, but when I hear somebody say that like it's going to be okay, or and I like, this is me as a little bit more pessimistic of a person, and I think that greed holds no morality or like.
So
like,
can I
wish
if I
there
may?
was, I want it to balance. Please, shut me up. Yes.
Because I think maybe I should explain more.
Please.
I'm going to be okay, Drew, Kane. I will do whatever I need to do to survive. I guess that's what I meant. When it comes down to it, if other people aren't going to do what they need to do, I still have a truck driver's license. All these people worried about everything. There's a truck driver shortage. If I need to and the world went to shit, I drive a truck. I've kept my CDL because back in the day, I went and got it. I spent 12 weeks going to school and worked hard and prepared myself to have this blue collar thing that a lot of people would look down on, and I have it to fall back on. When it comes down to survival, if the world goes to shit, I don't care about anyone else. I'm going to be fine. I'm going to survive. I'm a survivor. I've done it my whole life. I don't rely on anyone. My parents haven't done it for me. I wasn't born with a silver spoon. I will be okay. I guess that's what I meant by that. And
I think that's...
I will do whatever I have to do to make it work. And I'm willing to work 16 hours a day. I know a lot of people who struggle in their business and they only work 8 hours a day and they don't work a full week and they only work 3. Yeah, no kidding. Well, if you got rid of staff and you worked all the hours, you'd make all the money and you wouldn't be struggling. I understand there's a balance to that. But I'm willing to do whatever I have to do to make it work. So if it really got that bad, that's how I look at it, and that's the mentality I have.
Sure.
I'll close down my business and go bag groceries, pay my rent, and then when the economy recovers, I'll open it back up. I'll go. I'll stock shelves overnight at a grocery store. I'm willing to do that. Yeah. I'll go shovel dirt if I have to. That's how I look at it. So I do think it would be an ebb and flow. And yeah, maybe things would suck for a little bit, but I do think it would come back to where people are spending money on the wellness stuff. And I still also think I see people who put a priority on their wellness at this point. And it's not that discretionary money that goes on, that they would make it a priority and sacrifice other things to help their mental state.
Sure.
So I think that we have that going for us in the wellness world.
True.
And it's an interesting piece. Like what I'm seeing is really like those deal seekers are the ones who are falling out the fastest. The folks who do, like you said, prioritize wellness are the ones who are sticking around. Taking that a step further, though, I'm noticing, knock on wood, at the moment, we're not losing members, but our members aren't coming in with the same frequency that they were before.
Interesting. Huh.
And so they're not canceling. We've had a couple who've paused briefly and come back, but that's pretty normal. You know, we give everybody up to a 3-month hold every year. So we've seen the normal amount for that part, but I'm noticing that our membership appointments are down. They're the ones who aren't coming in right now, but they're not canceling. And so I'm actually stepping up, like sending out additional automated reminders of, hey, don't forget you have credits, you know, come use your credits here. And, you know, those sorts of things. And I'm actually drafting an email to send out to everybody that's like gas prices stink. Here's what you can do. Plan everything in one trip. And, you know, go to this business to get this and go to do this while you're here, or come see us and then go grocery shopping afterwards, and don't talk to anybody and put in your headphones, and, you know, kind of give them a little bit of like how to consolidate your trip and, you know, reduce your gas mileage and still get the self-care that you need, but pair it when you have those necessary sort of trips that you have to make out. So are you guys seeing anything, Dylan? Any kind of change? Drew said he's really not seeing anything for his memberships yet.
Oh, I wasn't done talking about.
Oh, I'm taking you out of that. You guys are too high. Bring it back to the art of the float instead of art of the petrol, art of the terrible
It's
world.
also combined with the fact that we're coming into summertime, which is a tough time of the year anyway, right? Like,
right.
It's
Very good point.
Seasonally, anyways, I would say it's the worst 3 months. Well, maybe for me, I tend to have a slower September also, as I think schedules try to get figured out with the new school year. But things slow down June, July, August anyway. So on top of everything else, like is it normal? Is it a little more than normal? You know, it's a little hard to judge.
I promise I'll talk about the float shop. I just have to get one little thing in. I'm so sorry.
Kim, you're in charge of this.
I like to work. I like to spin plates. I like to be busy, right? Like, I feel like I have the hustle as well. Sandra and I built the shop. I didn't have to do art of the float, you know, all the things associated with it. Like, I like working, right? I like being busy. I like being creative. I don't like a manufactured, ingrained workaholism or hustle. I think America is a little more than a little broken in how we are designed to think that working 80 hours a week is better, I think. Or Elon Musk, you know, like how he puts his employees to work, especially in China, and takes advantage of them, is disgusting. And I think that ethic of like, that's a hero mentality is jucked up. It is a bad, unhealthy by design for the people at the top thing. And it pits people against each other too. We're all fighting, well, not we, but there's fighting at the bottom for scraps competition instead of vertically. Okay, that was okay. I'll get off my soapbox. I just want a little counter to or add to that as well. And Drew has this will be the bonus content on Patreon. I'm just kidding. We don't do bonus podcasts on Patreon, but we always say we do. We had the most rain. Wait, what were you going to say?
Never mind.
Oh no.
No.
When Kim's like, never mind, you know.
Never mind. We're recording.
We had the most rain ever recorded in the history of recording rain in May. Or was it April? Has it been a whole entire other month of rain? Yeah, it might have been. Because we thought
we had a lot in May.
Okay. It was crazy. In fact, apparently our skylights leak when it rains enough. So that was interesting. So dealing with rainy roofs. Anyways, so what we thought was, okay, people are going to be inside and, normally springtime people are out. They're going to go do their things, go climbing or kayaking or go up to Mount Hood, whatever it is. Or to the beach, I should say. But our floats actually went down. The number of people coming in went down, and I was really surprised by those numbers. Strangely enough, our income actually was up a decent amount from April, and a much larger amount from the previous year. I mean, from the previous year, that's not a huge deal, but yeah. So actual bodies in float tanks, kind of like you were saying, Kim, with your members, that is actually lower. But for right now, going into the summer, the finances are actually like, okay, that these numbers are should be better by all means, but are pretty okay.
Yeah, we're looking at that too. That, you know, we started the year so strong, and most of our months were, you know, we were looking at 13-14% year over year growth, and that was over last year's 13 or 14% year over year. So like our growth trends were really strong, and then we saw that sort of drop in April, and we had our first like slow, you know, loss of month or year over year for May of like 4.5%. So it wasn't huge for us, though. That was like, whoa, what just happened here? But you know, we're in the same boat. Like we worked so hard for the first 3 years. It was Graham and me, you know, and we were working those 14-hour days. We were never home together at the same time. We hardly ever got to see the kids and do, you know, family stuff. So, and during that time, we were stocking away money. Every penny that we could was in the bank account, you know, and we stocked up enough money that like right now we're not feeling like we're not worried about things. We have had some discussions of like, well, what would happen in worst case scenario? Because as a business owner, I think everybody should be having those discussions. Yep. You need to have plans for, okay, if this happens, then we're going to do this. And, you know, and you need to have some things in mind that you can do if numbers are starting to look a little scary. But ultimately, I mean, we've hired this team. They're doing a great job, and we don't want to do anything that's going to jeopardize that. We want to keep them in place, and we want to continue to grow that team, and really position ourselves in a way that we are leaders in the company instead of just being on site, and allowing us to kind of be there to support them so that they can support our guests. So, you know, looking at like what can we do in this time when it is slower, what availability do we have for that? And doing, you know, all the planning that we can do just in case. And, you know, we're not feeling nervous about a lot of things. We're a little trepidatious about too much growth at once, and thinking about like, what is our steady state looking like during this? Because who knows? And the world changes so quickly sometimes. Like I have to admit, you know, there was a time in March of 2000 when we were all having conversations about how great like we're doing and we're not changing anything, and then the very next episode we're like, we're shutting down. So you know, we all have to kind of be prepared for a little bit of that too. I never would have thought that before, but having learned what we learned and what we went through then, that I'm now a little bit more like, let's just have a backup plan. Yeah. Just in case.
Yep. Yeah. As you should. Agreed.
In a way, and this might sound negative, but in a way, doesn't this also kind of, as like tough economic times happen, it kind of weeds out people who maybe put themselves in a bad business decision to begin with, if they were so thin and so stretched out that, you know, they aren't able to survive through. And I guess that's all relative, but if you think about it, there are some people, and I know we've all seen it, who are trying to fit a square peg in a round hole when they're trying to open a float center somewhere or do something, or maybe they go over budget, or they're just spending like, why are you spending so much? You don't need to do that. And
or it's an add-on.
Yeah, right. So if someone was bad at business to begin with, and then there are difficult times, it's going to weed them out. And the people who are good at business and making the good decisions are going to stick around. They're going to survive any of those peaks and valleys, and they'll be there when the dust settles. And the people who were on that edge to begin with when times were good aren't going to be around when times are bad. And that's part of capitalism too, right? Like,
I mean, something somebody told Sandra years ago was, if you can't afford to pay your employees a living wage, you can't afford your business. And I think that goes to a lot of different things about running a business. Like, if you can't afford these things, if you can't take a hit in your income for a month or two or a summer, then there were other issues at hand here. I totally agree with that. Like, the resilience has to be built into it as well. Can I bring up the word that's just so inappropriate on this show, and we haven't had to use it in a long time?
You can't edit. Remember that, Dylan.
Well, I can always bleep myself.
There's no going back out.
Can I say it? Groupon.
Oh, no. I'm done.
I knew it. Just stand by.
Rather crash and burn.
No.
So.
No.
Okay. So I have never thought. So there are people who are absolutely anti-Groupon. I have always thought of Groupon as, well, inherently bad, like a bad company, more like a sword that can cut both ways, something that needs to be wielded. You have to do your research and wield it as wisely as you can. We have not done Groupon for many years. They came to us recently. Oh, Kim just walked off out of the studio. Oh, my gosh. Into the forest. There she goes. I see her in the sun rays, God rays.
I'm coughing.
Okay. First time somebody's walked off the podcast. So they, unfortunately, the one thing that I've always said is I will not work with them again if they always paid us out based on what people paid them. So if somebody bought a Groupon through them, we got, whether it was 70% or whatever the percentage was of the payment. They changed things to say, okay, you only get money if they come in. And we walked away. They also dictated a lot of the percentage off. They wanted a huge amount off, etc. Now, because they want to help businesses in need right now, you see, these are really good guys. I don't understand why you can't see that. So they're obviously, have never had a great business model and are now, I'm sure, hemorrhaging money like nobody's business. And so they are desperate for some TLC, some attention from small businesses. They are still no longer willing to give us money per sale. They are willing to give us a very large percentage, and let us dictate the percentage off, something like 10 to 15% off, as opposed to a very large amount. Now that is starting to look appealing to me again, and I can kind of shrug off the I'm not getting all of the money from the ad, because it is still, I'm getting paid essentially for that person coming in. They did the marketing part. Like, it's like almost kind of going all the way back to ground zero or step one with Groupon, like doing the self-talk about it. Poke some holes in it for me. What's wrong with this? Besides the ugliness of the brand, perhaps, but I don't think it's cheapening the value anymore, because it's, I mean, we do discounts at a greater rate than that frequently than what they're going to offer.
Kim?
Oh, Drew spun his hat around and says Groupon. Kim took off her sweater and it says Groupon. Yay! I got him.
You guys should really watch YouTube.
Yeah. All these things are actually happening.
Psych! I love Groupon.
What are you talking about? Our YouTube videos numbers are great. They're great.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Everybody's watching YouTube.
Yeah. I think there are tons of ways to market your business. And if you're smart about them, you can make just about anything work. I haven't tiptoed into that just because there are some concerns, we're all about getting that repeat guest. And so just based on numbers, Groupon doesn't always lead to returning guests. Sometimes it does. And you have to be, I think we've talked about that. It's been a long time, but we've talked about that in a past episode about like how to make sure that your Groupon guests are turning into repeat guests. So I think if you've got a solid strategy for that piece, and you can make sure that you're not cheapening your value or, cheapening your brand and lowering that perceived value, go for it,
Okay.
Yeah.
Great. That was a great
but
neutrally. Fine.
It's fine. I won't even judge you for it, Dylan.
Really?
Are
you just saying that? But over time it'll grow and fester?
I mean, if I look on Groupon and I see that the float shop is running like 2-for-1 or, $10 floats or something like that, I am going to judge you. I'm going to call you. I'm going to shut down your social media and I quit.
Yeah.
But that's different.
That's funny. I like it.
Do people still look at Groupon? Do people still get Groupon emails and do that?
That's a great question.
And while you were talking, just want to throw this out there. 52 week stock price went from looks like about $47.47 to $11.17. So I'm sure they're trying to help in many new ways as their stock price has plummeted, and it was up close to $100 5 years ago. So they're not doing as well as they used to be. But I'm with Kim. I think you could take whatever they were going to take and use that for advertising money to advertise your deals versus having them do it. And just don't forget, Groupon will take over your SEO. And when people search for the float shop, it'll go to Groupon instead of the float shop, right? That was one of the issues they were doing, was taking over on people's SEO so it would show up for them first. But I do wonder, I feel like I haven't heard the term Groupon in a while. And are those, and forget even just Groupon, like those daily discount deals?
Yeah.
I feel like that peaked and dropped off and kind of went away. There was a bunch of them that popped up and then you never heard of it. Someone came to me recently trying to do a local one. I was like, no, dude, I don't, like, who does that? Sorry.
I actually I pulled up a Google search while you guys were talking, and I just started typing "does Groupon," and the most recommended search results were "does Groupon still exist?" So it was a really interesting, thing to show there. But I don't know.
I think you could be creative. I have a sore spot. To be open about it, I really dislike Groupon, so I have a sore spot with them, and I think, like Kim said, if you're creative, you could do stuff with it, the money that they would take anyway, and maybe target more specifically, even if you did something for people who already come in to get other people to come in with them. I don't know, but
Gloria shared it on, those episodes a million years ago, and I wish she was here tonight to be able to kind of share a little bit more about has she been using it or whatnot before. But, she really came from that same mindset that Groupon is a platform that you can be really smart about using, that you don't have to discount everything. And I think if, Dylan, what you're saying, about Groupon kind of shifting their strategy and trying not to make you discount everything so deeply, then it can be a really effective way to at least reach a different audience or a new audience that you wouldn't have reached before. And if we think about, the concern about lessening the value of the float, I already do that. Really, my floats are $50 to $55. We do an intro package where it's buy two, get your third free. So that alone, we're selling them for $75 a pop. And so that equals out to about $50 a float. And ideally they're stepping into our membership, which is $55 a month, and so we're already putting that perceived value of what a float is out there to people. And the majority of the folks who are coming back to see us are paying it at that $55 rate, not at our market rate of $75. And so the concerns about discounting, I don't necessarily want to be running sales every day and even every holiday. We've really stopped discounting the actual services themselves. We add bonuses to any purchases instead. But I think you can still put it out there and, leverage those platforms. And there are others besides Groupon, but we all in the float world know Groupon. So I think you can be smart about it. So.
Is Groupon a sponsor of the Float Conference this year?
Not that I've heard. Nope.
Just curious.
Or else Kim would be singing a completely different tune.
Yeah, she loves Groupon.
No, I hope not.
No. Yeah.
How about all the new people?
I have a tendency to tell you what I think.
Sorry to all the new people who don't know the history of the Float Collective and Groupon and
kidding.
Stuff that
Yes.
Search Groupon in the Float Collective.
There was a
firefight.
Yes.
If this is your first time listening to us talk about it, go back and find some of our old episodes, where we've talked about Groupon before, and the good, the bad, the ugly. Or
One
don't.
of our first episodes when we relaunched with the new crew was a Groupon episode. Maybe even the first one. Yeah.
All right, guys, if we were to have any actionable things for people right now, this is like probably the worst thing in the world, but I think it might even combine a little bit with what Drew was saying, but just kind of like some of that, like, hang in there, like, and maybe recognize what's perceived in your head versus the reality. Like, actually comb through your numbers. Maybe don't look so much at just what does your schedule look like today, but what do your actual numbers look like month to month versus last year, or potentially like pre-COVID, or versus the bills you have to pay, maybe is a better way to look at it, that kind of thing. Drew, is that kind of in line with?
Yeah, totally. To really understand what you're doing, and hopefully things don't, kind of drop and go to, it gets corrected sooner than later. But yeah, really understanding your business and where your money's going and how you can generate money, and really having a full grasp of what you're doing and what the numbers are telling you. That's more important than ever right now, really, right? And trying to find how to minimize your costs. If, like for me, I said I paid $51. I should really find, I haven't looked, but I should see if I can find some place to buy it cheaper and maybe in bulk, right? Like, that's on me to take the time and do that. I probably would have saved hundreds of dollars if I had done that a year ago at this point, right? But it's on me to do that. No one's going to do that for me. I have to sit down and go through that stuff. So,
that's a good point.
Those are some actionable items. Like, don't stick your head in the sand, because it's not going away. And the more prepared you are, the better off you'll be.
Which is super easy coming out of COVID and everything. Everybody's absolutely ready to go.
What up?
Whoa!
We have a podcast crasher.
Is this a green screen behind you? It looks like an SNL bit of somebody driving.
I live skate with the cat. Where's the cat?
Yeah.
I miss you guys so much.
Oh, Gloria, we have missed you.
Don't lie. We've had zero audio issues since I've been gone.
Oh, my God.
We just had our first night. I can barely hear you, Gloria.
Are you serious?
No, I'm kidding.
Oh, my God.
Good one.
Well, I pulled over, and I was so excited that you invited me at the end, because I felt so bad because I was still driving. And
Gloria, people,
Hi, Gloria.
Kim, I know we'll get back to this, but
It's Gloria.
You've been missing for a while. Can you let people know where you've been and what you've been up to?
oh my gosh, I've just been everywhere. It's been crazy. Like, it feels like everybody who was cooped up from the travel ban, like the floodgates opened. And so I've been on the road for like 4 weeks in a row. So I've been out of the country, and it's been crazy. So
if you're just listening to us, Gloria is literally in her car on the road right now.
Thank you, Kim.
And just dropped in.
yes, I miss you guys so much. So, but yeah, so how are you? What did I miss tonight? What are you guys even
We're
talking
great. Our
about?
businings are great. Everything's awesome.
We're
We were
making
just talking
millions of
about
dollars.
Yeah. Are you not?
Duh. No.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's you guys feeling, I don't want to repeat what you've already done, but yeah, are you guys feeling like an uptick or a lull? What's going on? It's hot as hell in Chicago, so very few people are floating at the moment.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
We the general theme of tonight was inflation and how that's impacting or potentially impacting business.
Yeah.
Is it in our heads? Are there 5 greedy people at the top of the world driving us apart? Drew and I had some back and forth there, and then Kim told us to can it.
Bring it back. Yeah. Well,
I don't know. It's so good to see you. You don't need to worry about us. It's just good to see you, and you can let
looking
people
good,
know.
Gloria.
You look great, Gloria.
oh,
Jeez.
you guys are too sweet. I appreciate that. I've been doing a lot of mindful eating. So, I've been trying to take better care of myself in that regard. But it doesn't always work. But for the most part, I'm trying to, be very present in all of my eating, if that is what it is. I don't know. Who knows? But
Okay. Can we mindfully drink in Portland, Maine?
Absolutely.
With each other?
Yes.
Awesome.
We'll be
Nice.
there.
Kim's already there.
Looks like you guys have already like put a few away tonight. Like how it's been an hour and a half. Are you guys like 6 in or what?
This is a strange sober recording. I didn't even think about it tonight.
Who are you?
Kim's drunk.
Yeah, Kim was drunk before we started recording. And she's the one pulling Drew and I off each other. Getting a fisticuffs.
We're sober tonight.
Yeah, we really should drink on the pod more. You're right.
Drew, I'm loving your
Good
hair.
point.
What do you think?
Is that Drew's?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, seriously.
You look like a cute little... No, very cute.
Something. Thank you. Appreciate it.
I will say we're still recording.
Yes.
Yeah,
I invited Gloria in at I went behind you guys' backs. I invited her in just to bomb in and maybe say hi if she was able to. Because we honestly just miss you so much, Gloria. You're such a fun
Yeah, we haven't seen Gloria in a while.
guest or co-host.
Yeah, I can't tell you. My body clock is just kind of off, just kind of reactivating to being back in the country. But I should be off the next couple of weeks in terms of travel, so I should be able to.
So we'll get like 20 episodes in.
Yes, right.
Great.
Back in. Lots to. I feel like there's a lot to talk about. So.
Awesome. We'll take it. We'll take that energy. I love it.
Well, you
Gloria,
keep
you're the
going.
best.
I'll jump back off. Are you guys wrapping up pretty soon, or?
Yeah, we're about to close out here. Kim's going to give our final word here.
Oh.
Our final thoughts. Yeah. Thank you, Gloria.
Okay. Yes. So
Thank you, guys.
I think
Bye, Gloria. It's good to see you.
we love you, Gloria.
Ciao.
Now I want a beer.
I know, right? Well, let's go have a beer.
Yeah.
I think wrapping it up, though, like for me, it's really 4 things, and it's nurturing the people who are coming in the door, doing what you can to get some new folks to come in, reach the new people who haven't been able to come into you, being really, really smart with your spending, and if some of that is looking at your expenses. It might not be the right time to do a big remodel or, some kind of big maintenance project that you have if it's a high expense thing, but it might be the right time if your schedule's really slow and you can easily shut that off and, take care of those projects. And what was number 4? Nurture new, spend wisely, and something else. I don't know. Drink a bourbon.
Dream.
Dream big.
Be inspired. Yes. Dream big. Yes. I love it. Pray. Yes.
Eat, laugh, smile, pray.
Float. Yeah. Eat, laugh, float.
Float more.
Oh, boy.
Float more. Just float more.
Goodness gracious. Thanks, guys. It's always a pleasure.
It is.
That was fun.
Something that this is tangential here, but we just ordered a bunch of shirts for, as we're talking about saving money, we just spent money on shirts for the Float Shop staff. Flux has these really cool new designs on shop.artofthefloat. So these really fun float-related shirts, and some of them are for specifically for your employees. So they have this floating caduceus symbol, and then it says float facilitator on it. And as it turns out, all of our staff apparently want not necessarily like uniform, but basically they don't want to be cleaning rooms and getting pit stains over time in all of their clothes. And so everybody was super stoked on having a shirt for that reason. And at the staff meeting, people said it would be really nice for people to recognize exactly who works there when they walk in. And I know we've always kind of hemmed and hawed on that part of like the amount of casualness we want versus that immediate comfort of knowing who to look for. So we'll be testing out the Float Facilitator T-shirts, and I guess I can kind of also segue in that's a paid ad for shop.artofthefloat. Check that out for marketing needs and for T-shirts, mugs, all that good stuff. But definitely check out the Flux stuff. It's the fun and new hotness on there right now.
Yeah. New hotness.
Should I do some closing? All right, let's do it. I can't just say it. I have to feel it first, and then I can say, thank you guys so much for co-hosting with me. I love you guys so much. It's such a joy. Thank you for doing some pod tonight. And thank you for listening. I truly, truly mean it. Truly love you guys, and I want the best for your business. And as always, hope we're turning some gears in your mind to help you be more successful. Thanks to everybody who is also supporting us on Patreon, where you can get float imagery, float videos. What else do we do? Blog posts. Go check it out. We do things to help your business, specifically for marketing. Check out shop.artofthefloat for previous sets, whether it's photography, videos, testimonial videos, t-shirts, all the swag kind of things. More stuff is coming up all the time. And the Flux aforementioned gear. And let's see here. Thanks to our sponsors, Helmbot, thank you so much. Isopod, thank you. Mindful Solutions, that's 2 L's, Mindful Solutions, for if you're not interested in doing manual marketing, or if you want supplementary marketing, is a great way to start a conversation with Kim and her business at Mindful Solutions. She's quite versatile, or her business, I should say, is quite versatile and can take care of a lot of your needs. And Drew, what are you plugging tonight? What are we promoting for you?
Peace, love, and prosperity from Drew.
Thank you. .com, and that's where you can buy all your peace, love, and prosperity gear. He keeps all that revenue. I'm just kidding. Was that funny? I don't know. Thank you, Drew.
I was on mute, but I laughed.
Okay, great.
Nailed it.
Was there anything else? Olga, thanks for producing our show. Listeners, yes. God bless ya. All right. Oh, gosh, I didn't have anything. Until next time, have a beer. This one's on me. We'll see you next week.